All right. So Dick, first time I've talked to you. Nice to meet you.
And you too.
And Dale, it's a small world. Dick was the mentor of my best and favorite futures broker when I was a market maker in London. So it is a very small world.
Okay. Was that Refco? Dittmer?
It was he was at Refco at the time. Yeah, there you go.
All right. Yeah, I remember the Refco days, Dittmer. Yeah, I'm from Chicago. Dick,
right.
So.
Top man Tom Dittmer was. As for the others, I'm not so sure. For Tony Grant and Phil Bennett were a little bit more interesting than Tom.
Or how about Stotler? Stotler was a great experience, wasn't it? The exchange had to bail them out. Yeah. So okay, so people that are being hopeful in the holiday season, you think that he's going to be extremely hawkish, so it'll be in the statement, Dick, and because you think they're just going to go a half, right?
Yeah, I think they'll just go a half.
Right.
But I think he'll come out, all guns blazing again, because there's no point in doing a half and say, oh, great, everything's rosy. We're going to cut early next year, because everyone will just go and spend money immediately and you'll get inflation back in the system, or inflation will go up ahead. So I think he's got to be hawkish. And it's interesting listening to some of you guys looking at the dollar. I mean, the dollar has struggled in the last 2 or 3 weeks, but traditionally, dollar into year end always tends to weaken as people repatriate funds from the US back to the UK and to Europe. So the dollar probably won't strengthen as much as it could do, just purely for that one fact. Each time it's tried to rally on good news, it's sort of run out of steam pretty quickly. So I think that could be an explanation of the fundamental dollar weakness at the moment.
Okay, well, you look at the dollar index, and this is a pretty key level to a lot of dollar bulls.
Yeah.
See that, go back to 16 and then the COVID high, and it's trying to hold it. Underneath, I think there'll be some even more capitulation from the dollar bulls. Do you think that we could at least have some, maybe from lower levels, Dick, some type of failing rally in the Dixie? Because this was parabolic.
Yeah.
And usually you get some type of echo or failing rally after a major move like this. I mean, look at the momentum at the high. So I have a hard time wanting to short the dollar down here.
I sure do. If I was going to short the dollar, I'd actually do it against the euro. And as probably people can recognise by my accent, I'm a Londoner. I'm no fan of our European cousins, apart from their food and their holiday resorts. But I think the euro could surprise everyone next week, and they could be the odd one out of the pack, and they could hike by 75 basis points, which will give some strength to the euro.
Maybe 108. You think it has a couple hundred pips left in it? There's
could do. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And are you a metalhead?
No,
you a believer in this?
I don't understand metals at all. I don't understand the way that gold behaves anymore. I've always brought up that you buy gold in inflationary times, and it just seems, like
it does perform well in inflationary times. It just has a lag usually. If you look historically, it's not something. By the way, I wanted to ask something. You said that if Powell comes out, all dovish, people are going to go out, buy everything. There's a problem, especially in the US. I was looking at the charts the other day of the average credit card debt versus the average disposable income or bank balance. I can't remember exactly how it was. And it's been, obviously during COVID with the handouts, there was a move one way. Now it's the other way. And like credit card debt is exploding higher. So people are spending on debt, on expensive debt as well. So that's something that worries me. I don't think people have that much to spend. I mean, the average person I'm talking about. If things start looking like they're going to be, if funding is going to be not going to get more expensive than it is now, I don't think people have the capacity to go out and buy everything. That's a problem. But I don't know. I could be wrong.
Well, what do you think of oil, Stelios?
What do I think about what?
Oil. About oil.
You've had there you go, Dick.
That's a very tough. That's a tough one because theoretically, with China talking about slowly maybe reopening and the market being tight, any specialist you ask, they're all saying it's still a tight market. We should have been going higher, but we're not.
We are now.
Maybe it's recession fears for next year. I don't know.
It seems strange, doesn't it? Because it's actually been a mild, I guess, a mild autumn, and we're just getting the first real cold snap of the winter coming in, which will tend to push energy prices higher. And I think it's been suffering because of that. Yeah. And then you wonder what Saudi Arabia is doing. They seem to have got their noses out of joint a little bit by what's gone on with Biden and the Russians. And it just seems a really, really strange market to me now. And fundamentally, I want to buy oil. You're going to get more, use more oil. You're going to have winter, you're going to use more oil. It just seems really, really bizarre that it's like floating around at the levels it is.
Yeah, I think you're right about the weather. It's a warm country here that we live in, but usually this time of year we're already using oil or gas to heat homes. Yeah. We haven't done it a single day yet. It's still 17 Celsius. So I think the weather is a factor.
Yeah, it's the second cold day of the winter here, and I think that Scandinavia is very, very cold, so it might start to play more of a role in the market going forward.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a tough one, Will. Yeah.
Okay. Do you trade stock indices, Richard?
I keep an eye on them. I must admit, I don't particularly like the S&P at the moment. I'm probably the oldest guy on the call, but I can go right the way back. You had stagflation in the UK, and I just fear that you're going to get stagflation again, where you're going to have a really deep recession with really high inflation rates. Not so much possibly in the States as you are over here, but I think that that's a real possibility. And I just don't see how you buy equities. I can't see any reason to buy it apart from a Santa rally to pay your bonus at the end of the year.
Yeah, I have inflation is something that I disagree with most people, and I've been saying this for a while. I think February, March of next year, when we start comparing prices to this year's February, March, which was the rate of change was really high due to Ukraine, I think we're going to see inflation drop dramatically, because for inflation to stay at 8% or wherever it is in the US in February, March of next year, it means that it has to be rising at 8 or 9% year on year compared to the big jump that we had this year. And for me, that's unsustainable. I don't see how it's going to be happening. So I think that by definition, all else being unchanged, inflation is going to start dropping dramatically. And I mean dramatically. And that's what I think is going to cause the Fed to pivot. But, mathematically, this is what should happen. But obviously, again, I could be wrong. Things could change. Things change all the time. But
it's interesting that you think that the major cause of inflation, or by inference, you think the major cause of inflation is the war in Ukraine, not the printing of money by the central banks.
Oh, it is. Of course it is. Of course it is. But I'm just saying the price. How is inflation calculated nowadays? It's not the old definition, which was the rate of change of money supply. They have this basket of goods and all that stuff, and then they compare the prices to a year ago. Well, we had the big jump this year. We need to have the same for inflation to stay at the same level. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that there isn't inflation. Of course there is. But for us to go back to normal, we should see negative, 8% inflation. Then we go back to where we were before, or you know what I mean. I just think it's a huge hurdle to pass to actually register the same inflation rate in early next year. But anyway, I seem to be the minority in this, so I'm gonna shut up.
But they invaded on February the 24th, wasn't it? I know it's February the 24th. It's 2 days before my birthday, so I remember that. So the first hit to inflation would have been in the March figure.
Okay, March, April then. Okay, I said February, March, April. It had already started to grind higher though, inflation before that. So you are right. It wasn't purely Ukraine. It was lots of factors, but
What's inflation in Greece?
Oh, similar to the Eurozone, something like 8%, 9%. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's too expensive. Everything is too expensive now.
I still don't understand. I'm sorry to hog the limelight, but I still don't understand how central banks think that they can get inflation under control. And this is much more so in Europe and the UK, by having interest rates at 3, 4, 5% when you've got inflation at 9, 10%. It's just, to me, it's just not logical that can control inflation.
Well, the thing is transitory, don't they? They think it's going to drop to where,
That's what I haven't heard for a bit. Transitory.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, be interesting next week. I think you're going to get 50 basis points from the Fed, 50 basis points from the Bank of England, and 75 from the ECB.
Oh, 75 ECB, that's punchy. Okay. What do you think, Dale? What do you think we're going to get from the ECB?
I look at the chart of the euro, and I don't think it's done. I know Greg had a completion at 106, and there could be more of a bear market rally, but they're so resilient. They're acting like beach balls lately. Especially we had some risk off, couple real good days of risk off, and they would try and take the euro and cable lower, and they'd come roaring back every time. So, sometimes you have to be the wrong way in the market to know to go the right way. So when you see that, you're short and it's a struggle to make money on that side of the market because the market keeps rallying back in your face, maybe it's time to put aside your bearishness and either let the market complete, try it at another level, or go with it. So I think the action's lousy in the dollar right now, and the euro's okay. I do think we're getting close to completing at least this first wave, but that could be Dixie 102.5 or so. And then we have that correction like you're talking about.
Yeah.
Still, that happens after that. And that ties in with what Dick was saying about, and I remember being on the floor at the CME during the holiday in December, and he's right. I can remember periods of dollar weakness this time of the year, standing on the floor of the CME. So anyway, that's what I think.
Cool. I actually
I'm
have
shorting gold and silver today.
Yeah, why not?
And that doesn't make sense with looking for the dollar to continue to weaken. So, I mean, there's so much conflicting stuff out there. Anyway, that's what I'm doing.
Okay. Makes sense. I actually have to sign off.
Me.
I was going to say I have to sign off. I'm going to go get my girls from the bus stop, school bus. So I will have to leave you. It was very nice to talk to you, Dick, and I'll pass it over to you guys. Thanks, everybody.
All right. So, Dick, what do? You just trading your account nowadays? Do you have a business model? Are you teaching people with all the experience you have?
I've given up teaching people after I talked. Actually, I say I haven't given up teaching people. I've got 2 young lads that I'm trying to educate sitting next to me at the moment. I should have given up after I talked to the guy who used to broke Stelius. I've just founded a small foreign exchange company, and we do deliverable foreign exchange.
Okay. What's the name of it?
It's Pardis FX. And if I was really clever, I'd spell it out for you using currencies, which I'm not sure I can do. P for pounds, A for Aussie dollar, R for reals, D for the dollar, U for Uzbekistanian dollars, and S for Singaporean dollars or sterling.
Okay. All right.
And we just we help people move money around. They're buying assets overseas or repatriating money into the UK. So it's really good fun.
Cool.
I just love the markets,
So they're cash transactions. Can you can you handle money from people in America?
Yeah, sure can.
Oh gosh, because I was using what's the name of that thing that I was using Revolut so I could hold some of my dollars, and but they charge you $10 a month just to hold them there. Yeah,
exactly. That it adds up. So if you want to do anything, or any of the guys listening wants to do anything, contact me. You can DM me on Twitter, and I can help you guys out. But I just love the markets. Once it's in your blood, it's there.
Yeah, and you know what, guys? Everyone listening to Dick and I right now, I know that I keep quite a lot of cash balances in banks, but if this is a major top in the dollar that's happening, besides trading, you could just, diversify your US dollars in cash. Doing something like this, it's, something to consider without leverage. Just consider it a bank account in the right paper, the right fiat, instead of the wrong fiat. Do you have people using you for that purpose, Dick?
Yeah, just for for its national business and moving money around. Decide they want to hold the majority of their balances in, probably not in sterling, but in Swissy or in US dollars.
Okay. So going into 2023, what are your big ideas?
Interesting that's drawing a line on the 31st of December. So I would be probably moderately short of the dollar going into year end, and I would start thinking about getting a few on board for the first couple of months next year, because as the dollar is weak in December, it tends to strengthen in January and February just by flows as people reinvest in. I would still tend to be short of sterling, and I would tend to be long of euros.
Okay, so you like long euro pound?
Yeah. I think sterling's got. I don't know how much you see in the press over that, but we've got every man and his dog is on strike over here, from the railways, the medical profession.
What a mess.
The border guards. Virtually everyone's on strike. I think that politically, it's not quite as stable as it appears, and I think that you're going to start getting more political tail risk involved in cable or in the pound as we head towards an election and an almost inevitable change of government to a Labour government.
Do you think the high's in, or we get one more push with the dollar weakness, maybe up to what, 25?
I think 24.45 is what I said to Blake a couple of weeks ago.
Okay.
And I just failed that 24 level.
Right.
It gets very giddy up there, doesn't it? If I see it 123.5, I'd look to get short. Initially looking for something like 119. And I think over the course of the next year, you can see it back down towards the lows that we saw in September.
Oh, you mean 103?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to have an opportunity. I think that was the bottom. So you don't think that was the bottom?
No. Historically, if the currency markets see the threat of a Labour government in the UK, they tend to panic. And I think a lot of people still feel that. I don't want to talk about politics too much, but there's still the threat of a really left-wing government over here, and I think people would tend to shift money out. And also, we're still suffering from the after effects of Brexit.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I was thinking maybe some type of, I'd like to be a buyer under 110. I would try it here and, risk the lows. So that's the way I see it. Do you dabble in commodity currencies? Do you have a view, like in Canada or Aussie?
I should probably quite like both of them, to be honest with you. I think the Canadian, I was quite surprised this week that they did 50. And whether they have talked to the Fed is an interesting idea. And I also quite like the Aussie, because I think as China gradually reopens, if it doesn't go absolutely berserk, that should benefit the Aussie.
Okay. All right. Dick, anything, you've been at it a long time, and maybe even longer than me. And, they call me Father Time here.
I started when God was a lad.
You what?
I started when God was but a lad.
Anyway, I have one leg in the tar pit. So does that tell you what I am?
Yeah.
Okay. So really appreciate you meeting you and coming here. Fun. We'll do it again. I'd like you to share from all the experience you have. I know everyone will, the trite say, manage risk management. What's the most important message you could give to people that are at the beginning of their journey in trading?
Buy low, sell high.
Okay. All right. And if you don't learn how to change your mind, you won't have any change left. So.
Exactly. Never be frightened to change your mind.
All right, Dick. So best place for people to follow you on Twitter or go to Pardis FX?
On Twitter or on pardisfx.com. We post every day, or I post a comment up on Twitter and on LinkedIn. And if anyone wants to contact me, just drop me an email or drop me a DM on Twitter, and I'm more than happy to talk. I just love talking about the markets.
Yeah, it shows. And, you know, very nice to meet you. You know, after you have an interview with me, you become my trading warrior brother.
Well, we got the same sort of deep voice from trading on the floors for too long, I guess.
Yeah, screaming. That's not my trade. Come in the next day, the out trades, right? So, you know, I want to wish you happy holidays, and I believe people should check out Pardis FX for some foreign exchange cash transactions.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, and have a good Christmas and New Year.
All right, everyone. Dick Matthews.
Cheers now. Bye-bye.
Adios. So that's a wrap, everyone. You could join the team in about 25 minutes. You're welcome, Patrick, Turlin. Yeah, we're old school guys. All right. So anyway, you can't learn experience. You have to live it and live through adversity and put in the time. So I'll see you guys later. Remember, don't just count your pips, count your blessings. See everyone tomorrow to wrap the week. Adios.
Hey traders, this is Blake Morrow with ForexAnalytix. Thanks for stopping by our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like these videos, share them, and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of the content that we provide here for free. Thanks for stopping by. I'll see you in the next video.